What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in this video, I want to talk about how I feel Nintendo could be like in 2026. Just, my thoughts, my opinions, what I just think the company could be like next year. So, this video is going to be kind of split into three parts. The first being Pokemon, because I think Pokemon will have a large impact on 2026. Second will be third-party games for the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's looking like third-party wise we're going to have some of the best games we've had in a long time. And third section will just be Nintendo in general. And I actually want to start with that section because it's definitely the weakest section. Because I'm a little worried about Nintendo for next year. And just like Nintendo in general, because it's not looking that good for them. We don't really know many games coming out next year. We know a lot of Switch 2 editions, but those don't count. And then we know the Yoshi game, the Mario Tennis game, and Pokemon Poketopia. I'm extremely excited for Pokemon Poketopia. Like, very. But besides that, really nothing else first party wise that is confirmed. Of course, we don't really know much about Nintendo. The Direct in either February or January will basically, show us Nintendo's plan for 2026, but, we should probably know a lot more by now, and those are really the only three main games. I'm really excited for Pokemon Poketopia, but I feel like there should at least be more that I'm excited for. So we don't really know, what the games are, and I understand that we just don't know. So when we find out, it could be amazing, but, I don't know, I'm a little bit worried, especially when this year was kind of meh for Nintendo. In general, I loved this year and the games that came out for the Switch 2 this year, first party, but I know a lot of people were kind of let down. I played several first-party Nintendo games this year. I, played Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World, Legend ZA, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, some Switch 2 editions like Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV. So I played a lot of first-party games this year, right? And, that's a lot of games I played this year. So I actually think this year's been good for Nintendo, but I know a lot of people disagree. And personally, my highlights of the year aren't really what most people's are. So I feel like personally, my opinion's a little not popular, I guess. But I think this year was good for Nintendo, first party wise. And I think that my top games, first party wise, of Nintendo's this year were Pokemon Legends ZA, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Most people are like Donkey Kong and then probably ZA, right? Like Donkey Kong and then maybe ZA. Those are their top two games for this year. But I've mentioned before, but Donkey Kong was kind of a letdown for me, so that kind of left Hyrule Warriors and ZA, which are games that I love dearly. Those games are fantastic, and I love them very much. So, Hyrule Warriors, ZA, great games to me, at least. I know most people think they're lacking, but one thing I want to mention is, for Hyrule Warriors, I've never played a Hyrule Warriors game before, so I don't really have much to compare it on, so it could be a lot better or worse than the last one. I don't know. It's my first Hyrule Warriors game, but yeah. I love those two games, and I've played a ton of other games. Mario Kart World is, medium of, middle of the road. It's not, the best, but it's not the worst. And won Best Racing Game of the Year, which, sports/web racing, which is really good, I guess, so clearly a lot of people liked it. It's Nintendo's, most sold Switch 2 game, which is, it's Mario Kart, so obviously, but also it's bundled in with a lot of Switch 2s, so that's going to help it a lot. I got the bundle. So, personally, I think Nintendo this year did pretty good, but I know a lot of people don't think that, and I can see that very well. I can completely see why they think that. And I want to compare it to 2027 this year, because, that was the year the Switch came out. This is the year the Switch 2 came out, so how were they? And a lot of people are saying this, but it's kind of true. I may disagree with it a little, but where 2027 had less games, but better games. This year had more games, but worse games. And I can see that point. I can see why people would think that. I can see why they're probably not wrong. I don't know if I agree with it, because I just loved ZA and Hyrule Warriors so much. I love those games. So, I don't really know, what I think on it, but yeah, that's a very popular opinion. And it's probably not a good opinion, because, obviously for any company, business in the world, they want to one-up their last year, so, we kind of wish it'd be better than 2027, but it's not. And usually though, I feel like Nintendo put all their big games out this year, and now next year is going to be a little lackluster. And that usually happens for the second year of Nintendo's consoles. Like, every time, for that exact reason. They put all their big games, or most of their games, I guess, in their first year of a console, and then the second year it's not as much, because, all their games were in the first year of the console. Another game, though, that I forgot to mention is Splatoon Raiders. I'm not a Splatoon fan, and I wouldn't really want to play that game, because I haven't played any Splatoon games before, so I don't think I'd appreciate it that much. So, Splatoon Raiders is coming out. If you're a Splatoon fan, it's a single-player action-adventure, spin-off Splatoon game. You might love it. But one of the big flaws with that game is we just know nothing. They put out a trailer, and that was it. So that was a little stupid, but oh well. We really know nothing about that game, except the one trailer, which basically showed nothing. It was just teasing it, I guess. And, yeah, for those reasons, I just don't know if next year will be that good. But later in this video, I'm going to talk about reasons where I, in general, do think next year will be good. So, I think Nintendo, in general, probably not going to have the best year. But later in this video, I'm going to be talking, for the console of the Switch 2, it's probably going to have a pretty good year next year. Maybe not for Nintendo, but for the Switch 2, yes. Now I want to talk about Pokemon in 2026. And you might think it's kind of weird that Pokemon gets its own section in this video, but, next year is going to be probably one of the biggest years for Pokemon, ever. It's the 30th anniversary, and we don't know for sure. We only know from leaks, but these leaks are very probable, and that's the fact that we could be seeing 3 different Pokemon games next year. One is confirmed, Pokemon Poketopia. You've probably heard of it. I have made 2 videos and mentioned it in other videos talking about this game a lot. So, if you want to hear more about my feelings on that game, I have 2 videos on it. You should go check those out. But I am very excited for Pokemon Poketopia. And before, just a little while ago, it was my most anticipated game of the year. Now, there's a lot of other games going around that might come out next year or are going to come out next year that I'm probably, might be more excited for. So, I don't really know, what my most anticipated game for next year is, but Pokemon Poketopia is definitely up there. And, like I said, I'm not going to go too much into it. I think it will be a wonderful game. It's terrible that's a game key card, but watch my other extensive videos on it for more info. And I'm not even going to go that in depth in the Pokemon section of this video in general. Sorry for that, but I just made a video talking about Pokemon in 2026, so if you want this Pokemon section to be more fleshed out, go watch it. It basically says everything I would say in this section. And the 2 other big releases we could see for Pokemon next year are Black and White remakes and Generation 10. And we know a lot about Generation 10, where it, will be probably called Wind and Waves. It'll be island-inspired, tons of new Pokemon. Yes, and we will probably also get to ride Pokemon that we catch, which will be cool. One big, don't know about the game is, will it be turn-based or real-time-based? Because ZA was real-time-based. I don't know. I would have never thought in a million years that for a generational Pokemon game, for it not to be turn-based, because, I feel like they would just always stick with the turn-based formula. I would be happy if they didn't do turn-based, but I would be kind of surprised. I think they might go more of a Expedition 33 or Legends Arceus style, where it's a little bit of a mixture of real-time based and turn-based, because, for example, Expedition 33, in that game, it is a very turn-based game, but you can also dodge and parry attacks. And some attacks have you aiming your weapon, so, there's a lot more, you can move your character and stuff with that. But, speaking of, moving your character of turn-based, there's a certain kind of turn-based which I despise, and really just don't like any games that use this, and it's grid-based turn-based, where you have to move your character on a grid and attack. I don't like that. I cannot get into that kind of game. I've tried Fire Emblem, I've tried Mario Rabbids. Those are grid-based, turn-based. I just don't like them, and I can't get myself to like them. So I hope they don't go that turn-based, but if they go Expedition 33 turn-based, then that would be amazing, because it just adds a little bit more life and strategy to the battles. And then for Black and White remakes, again, talked a ton about this in my Pokemon for 2026 video, but Black and White, that generation, weirdly, is really sentimental to me, because the anime kind of got me into Pokemon. So, I even think the Black and White Pokedex is my favorite. I think it's the best one, just my opinion, but I think it added or introduced the best mons. And if you're wondering, my first Pokemon game, though, was X and Y, and I never actually played the black and white games, mainly just because they didn't have the modern day experience share, and I'm so used to it, it was hard to switch, so I just couldn't really play the black and white games themselves, but I would love to and always have wanted to. So I've kind of been begging for black and white remakes for so long. The fact that they will probably come next year is so exciting for me. Like, I love Reshiram, and I've always kind of found that strange, because you'd think I'd like Kyurem more. Or Zekrom, I mean. Because Zekrom's like, big, black, electric. And I like the white bird that has a fiery tail. I like that. I don't know why. I've just always loved Reshiram. So, and like I said, the whole generation means so much to me, and it's always been frustrating that I've never been able to play the games myself. So if black and white remakes did come out, I mean, I'd love it so much. So yeah, that's like, since Pokemon's clearly going to be amazing in 2026, and it makes sense. It's 30th anniversary, so if you're a Pokemon fan, 2026 is going to be like one of your favorite years ever. I'm a Pokemon fan, so like I said earlier, I don't think 2026 will be a bad year for the Nintendo Switch 2, but it might be a weak year for Nintendo in general. Okay, now I want to talk about third-party games coming to Switch 2 next year, and this is very exciting. We are going to be seeing some crazy games coming next year, and the first game I want to mention is Lego Batman Return of the Dark Knight. If you don't know, Lego games have been in a little bit of a downfall recently. The past several just haven't been that good. And TT Games is just struggling. But Lego Batman Return of the Dark Knight is looking like it's going to be amazing. So it's going to be good to see Lego video games get, something that isn't terrible, because that's something we haven't gotten in a while. So it's just exciting, because, Lego Batman Return of the Dark Knight, I mean, it's just a very anticipated game, will be coming to Switch 2 next year. So, fun. Next game I want to mention is Pragmata. I am very excited for this game. It actually might be, like, my favorite game announcement at Game of the Year, which I know is an unpopular opinion. Like, that's crazy. Like, I'm very excited. And I did not know Pragmata was a game that would come out until Game of the Year. I believe it was, like, mentioned to be in the works around 2020, but now it's, like, officially announced. So, I'm very excited for this game. It looks very fun. And one of the reasons I'm so excited for it is because it's one of the few games announced at the Game Awards that is coming to Switch 2. And third-party games at the Game Awards are kind of a letdown, but probably just because Nintendo wants to reveal off those games themselves at their own directs. So, if they weren't revealed to come to Switch 2 there, it does not mean they're not coming. They will just probably get revealed at a, official Nintendo Direct. But I'm very excited for Pragmata. If you don't know what it is, you basically play on this moon, like, sci-fi base. You play as a guy and a little girl. The girl can, has, technology powers. So while you fight robots, and, you fight this evil AI, while fighting the evil AI, you use the girl's, hacking abilities to reveal weak spots, and then you use the guy's attacks to hit those weak spots. That's basically the premise of the game. It looks like it's going to be very story-focused, just a very good game in general. I'm very excited for it. So, yay, and it's, like I said, it's one of the few games announced at the Game Awards coming to Switch 2, so that's, one of the main reasons I'm excited for it. Next game is Red Dead Redemption 2, but hold on. Don't get your hopes up too much, because we actually don't know if it's actually coming next year. Because it hasn't been officially announced, but I want to mention it because of two reasons that it might come out. First is because Red Dead Redemption 1 recently got a Switch 2 upgrade, so that means, Rockstar and Nintendo, maybe they're hanging out, talking, and Red Dead Redemption 2, we saw a leak. There was a leak that came out semi-recently that said it was coming to Switch 2. Now, don't know if it was a good source or not, but there was a leak, and, like I said, also, Red Dead Redemption 1 got a Switch 2 upgrade, so there's a decent chance it comes to Switch 2, especially next year. So, nothing confirmed. Don't tell anyone I said it was confirmed, because I didn't. Just, tossing it out there, because decent possibility it does. And those are all the games that I'm personally excited for, either when or if they come out next year. And there's two more I want to mention, but they don't intrigue me as much. First is Resident Evil. I mean, big information about it at the Game Awards. This apparently important character is going to be playable. I don't know anything about Resident Evil, does not personally interest me, but I do know it interests a lot of people, so I'm going to mention it. It's a horror game, you just like hunt monsters, maybe. I don't know. Very story focused, very gore focused. Like I said, doesn't interest me, but this important character is going to be playable, which I know people are excited for. I know that's not much information, but like I said, just wanted to mention it. And then, second game I wanted to mention is Elden Ring, which was actually supposed to come out this year, but got delayed to next year. And Elden Ring for Switch 2 and me kind of have a mixed relationship. Where, when I first heard it was coming to Switch 2, I was like, you know what? I think I'm finally going to end up playing the game. I know it's popular. I'm finally going to play it, when I got my Switch 2. Well, first off, it got delayed to next year. And second off, I'm not going to do that anymore. I might at some point, but not anytime soon. First off, because there's so many other games I want to play. Second off, it's too hard. I know, it's like I probably sound like a wimp, but it is straight up, known as a hard game. It's a Souls game. It's ridiculously hard. I don't do well with hard games, so I'm not going to buy something I'm, probably never going to beat. So, yeah. Those are, the main third-party games, and actually, you should probably go watch another video after this one. Finish this one first, because it's my video. But, that talk about all the third-party games coming to Switch 2 that were announced at Game of the Year. That videos like that are easy to find. I'd recommend it because that will probably give you some intel in case I missed something. Sorry if I did. But yeah, those are the main third-party games, and yeah. So, next year will be a great year for the Switch 2, but not a good year for Nintendo in general. That is my opinion. But again, we don't know anything about, Nintendo's, real plans, or we don't know that much about first-party games next year. So I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. We don't know too much. So it could be a really good year. This is just speculation. Yeah, for Pokemon and third-party, we basically know those are going to be insanely good this year. So if you're a Pokemon fan, or if any of the third-party games I said interest you, next year will excite you a lot. Because, like I said, in my opinion, I think next year will be a great year for the Switch, too, but not a great year for Nintendo. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yay Pokemon, yay third party, nay Nintendo. But before we go, I want to mention that Mega Man is also coming to Switch 2, I think 2027. So, doesn't really apply to this video, but wanted to toss it out there while we're on third party game topic. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it made your day just a little bit better. If you enjoyed it, hit like, subscribe. Peace out, everyone.